Welcome to the Zandbergen Report, where wealth strategies and pop culture collide, featuring your distinguished host and certified financial planner, Bart Zandbergen.
Welcome to our show of Dream Chasers and Wealth Makers. We are thrilled to be back in studio today with the new episode of the Zandbergen Report. I'm proud to bring in the movers, shakers, and difference makers who are passionate about sharing what they have learned and what you need to know today. And today I'm very pleased to have in studio Tiffany Bowne. This is after you told me to. Tiffany Bowne.
It's natural.
Of Lounge Couture. I got that one right.
Yes.
Couture. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. Happy to be here.
That. Great. So I love what you do, and your company, Lounge Couture, is a specialist in travel. You're a travel advisor.
Yes.
Okay. You have a great past, a great career. Can you just catch everybody up on what you used to do and how you got to what you're doing today?
I mean, I started out being, representing photographers and commercial film directors, and that was very detail production oriented. And then I kind of moved from there into feature films and was like assisting A-list celebrities and action film directors and traveling the world. And, I got to the point where I just couldn't be gone for 7 months at a time and 9 months at a time. I had a child and I couldn't do that anymore, and I kind of had to reinvent myself. But I ended up having this great kind of problem-solving skills, being able to handle high-profile, high net worth people. Traveling with them gave me this huge bit of knowledge that really contributed to me, doing this. And I traveled a lot. And so it just kind of was a perfect fit. I kind of moved into the private concierge world, and I realized that in terms of the private concierge requests, it was 90% travel related. And so when I really wanted to be better at that, I realized I had to gain more knowledge and become an expert in travel.
Yeah. So everyone knows the term travel agent. So you are a travel advisor, correct?
Yes, they like to change it to travel advisor now.
Yeah.
I'm kind of not particular about what you call me. I mean, I'm a private concierge, luxury lifestyle specialist, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
I do the job the same.
So, let's first talk about kind of where we are today. We've all been through a pretty tough 18 months.
Yeah.
So what was life briefly like for you with your work prior to COVID? What you were doing during COVID, which we laughed about that, but you had a very impressive answer to that. And then what's happening now that things are seemingly opened up and hopefully are going to stay that way?
Yeah, I mean, 2019 for the travel industry was the biggest banner year for everyone worldwide. So everyone was going into 2020 just like, wow, we're going gangbusters. And then, I felt it coming. I came back from Africa end of January 2020, right when it was starting to happen.
That's when it was starting, yeah.
And by the end of February, I could feel the shift was coming. I knew it was coming. Things were starting to slow down and get canceled. And my mom she's a CPA, and she went through the recession. And so the first thing I said to her was like, what's going on? And she's like, start making the changes you need to now. And so I kind of was ahead of the game, prepared for it. Just no one knew how long it was going to go on.
Right.
We thought maybe it would be a couple of months, and by June things would be back to normal. And I don't think that the volume of business that like someone like I do, the price point per transaction and how much international we do. I was dealing with $5 million in cancellations and refunds and credits and navigating and people not knowing the answers. I mean, the airlines didn't know the answers, the hotels didn't know the answers. They weren't giving up their cancellation and deposits without having more information. And even though we knew it was coming, everyone was trying to hold on to their dollars. So it was a very tricky situation.
Yeah. So for someone maybe booked a trip without an advisor or agent versus someone that booked through you, would that have fared for a cancellation or refund?
I mean, definitely my clients got their money back because of my buying power and the type of clientele that I have and my relationships worldwide with hoteliers and the airlines. I mean, definitely I'm partnered with the largest travel agency in America. So not only do I have my own personal buying power, but I have all of their buying power too. So when it came to leveraging what we needed to do to take care of our clients, we were in a good position to do that.
Yeah. That must have been such a different experience for you from all your previous years.
Yeah, it was, it's definitely, there was the ego part where you feel like you've worked so hard to get to a place and then just have it vanish out of sight, no fault of your own.
Right.
So I think there was a mental part of trying to deal with that. And at the same time, you know, travel advisors don't get paid until after the trip the majority of the time. So we're watching all of our future income for the year vanish, but doing the right thing for our clients.
Of course, yeah.
And that's just what we do.
Yeah.
It was the right thing to do, but there definitely was a panic moment.
So did that last 12 months or
Yeah.
longer? 12 months.
A little bit more. It's just started, I mean, I was really lucky. I mean, I realized that it's such a different base of clientele that even with all corporate disappearing, by June last year, I still had people moving around domestically. So I had people doing national park trips, driving trips, it wasn't at the volume or the price point level that I'm used to, but I really did have people moving around since June.
Yeah.
And I actually tried to travel as much as possible during that time. I think that's another thing that people don't realize is that travel advisors travel all the time so that they can give firsthand knowledge. They can tell you why you should stay at one hotel or another, or why this destination might not be what you're looking for, or depending on what you're describing on what you want. I mean, we really try to, you know, give the best, most educated information we can.
Yeah. It appears that things are starting to move again.
Yes.
I've had clients that are now on a cruise as we speak today. I'm seeing charity events come back scheduled for, I was at an outdoor one recently, but I've seen more normal venues coming in September, October, November. Are you seeing the same with travel?
Yeah, we're slammed. I mean, very, very busy as of maybe the end of May. This has gone from 0 to 100. I mean, like, unbelievable. I mean, I think there's a few things that people should think about right now is that, things are very expensive. It's a supply-demand situation.
Totally.
And, there aren't any deals.
Yeah.
If you're looking for a deal right now. I mean, hopefully that will come with more of the world starting to open up and then start to balance out the supply-demand portion. And I think for a while, it definitely was pricing a lot of people out of traveling the last few months because there was such limited options,
right?
Especially in the luxury market. I think it really put a spotlight on how much luxury does America really have.
Yeah.
I think there's going to be a lot of new hotel openings in the next couple of years.
Do you think so?
Oh, for sure. In America, for sure.
Because hotels were one of the most beat up of an investment.
Yeah, but they're
industry.
making up their money now. Yeah. They're all charging more.
They're charging way more.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
mean, it's just a natural.
It's pent up demand is certainly one.
For sure.
Are there countries right now that you still can't book in?
Yeah.
Like, is Canada?
No, it's not open yet. The UK is not open yet. Asia at all, pretty much, except for Thailand just opened Phuket. But Asia's still kind of off the market. Australia's closed. New Zealand's closed.
And within Europe, is it country specific or as a continent? Are they open, not open?
It's country specific. I mean, the majority of the EU countries are open to some extent, but you need to know how to get in. Can you transfer? I mean, I think the big question was, especially in June, was when it opened, but no one really talked about how you move between EU countries because a lot of people go, well, I'm going to go to Greece, and then I'm going to go to Italy, and then I'm going to go to France. And you're like, wait a minute, I only know how to get you into Greece, into France. And that was, I think that's definitely shown and proven our travel advisor values because we're sitting, even during the pandemic, we were all educating ourselves. We were keeping in touch with all the hotels. We were finding out how things were on the ground in all these places. And so we really can give up to the minute instruction and information and telling them, okay, you have to have a test. I had people going to Greece in June and they were going to end in France. But their flight connected in France. At the time, they had to get a PCR test just to change planes in France.
Oh, my goodness.
But they would have never known if they didn't have me.
Right. Yeah, that's a great service.
I mean, it adds a whole other level of protection.
Yeah. So describe what a luxury trip is. I mean, there's some obvious things. You're going to stay at a great hotel, but just generally speaking, why would someone come to you for what would you consider a luxury trip?
I mean, luxury is different to everyone. Personally, I mean, you have people who luxury to them is going to a boutique hotel in a desolate area, or you want to go to the best 5-star hotel in the city and get the largest suite. I think where our value comes in is getting to know the client and figuring out what their expectation is and being to deliver what they actually want. And, yes, I can do over the top and land a helicopter in Capri and do all of the crazy, get a private jet. I do all of that and, and more, and take over the Vatican or whatever private, experiences they want. But I think that the whole level of being a luxury travel agent is the whole picture from start to finish. And, I always say my value comes in my problem-solving skills, because travel comes with its own set of problems that can happen that are completely out of my hands.
Sure.
And I think that, having someone there to help you through it and to problem solve and fix it so that anything that happens on your trip just doesn't really affect your trip, if it can possibly be avoided.
Yeah.
A lot of the times people don't realize that when, some of my CEOs, when they travel all the time for business and, they're sitting on a tarmac and the plane's not taking off and they have somewhere to be, they don't get in line like the other people. They pick up the phone, they're sitting on the plane and they're saying, Tiffany, what are my options? And by the time they get off with everybody else, they're walking to another gate and getting on another plane.
Yeah. You can do that.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Because I can tell them before they're even off the plane what the next options are. Are there seats on there? Can I put you on that plane? Is it going to get, what time is it going to get you there? And they don't even have to look at their phones. They don't have to go to Expedia.
Yeah.
They don't have to call Delta and sit on hold.
Wow.
They don't have to get in line with 50 people who just got off the plane.
I'm definitely putting your number in my phone. Are you doing much with the, I guess they're called private jets, like the JSX? Is that considered a private?
Semi-private.
Semi-private. Are you doing much with that
I think it's an amazing
level?
option to be able to offer to clients. I mean, especially for these short flights, it definitely is cost savings, but gives you the more private feel. You don't have to go to the regular airport.
Yeah, I like that part. I mean, the cost is it's not
very
that much
reasonable.
more, and to avoid the hassle of everything else.
And some of them are doing like really cool things, like going into the Europe market over the summer and catching those little pieces where there isn't a normal flight, a commercial flight option where you don't have a connection. So Mykonos to Ibiza or London to Ibiza or something like that, where you normally would have a connection. They've kind of come in and done these kind of holiday kind of special.
So there's a comparable JSX. I'm just using it as a generic. I don't mean to call them out, but comparable semi-private. Okay, interesting.
They're starting that, which I think is a great option.
Yeah, especially in Europe because everything's really close.
Yeah, and a lot of my clients do take private once they get to Europe.
Yeah.
Because a transatlantic private jet is really a whole other ballpark.
Now that's really luxury.
Yes, and there's people who do it. I mean, I had some over the pandemic, but yeah.
Wow. What are some just tricks that you think our audience would like to hear? Tricks of the trade? Other than call you, that's the trick number one.
Well, I'm not a big fan of online booking because I really feel like you're better off booking directly with the hotel if you're not going to book with a travel agent instead of going through an Expedia or a Booking.com, because you really lose your power in terms of any kind of problem solving with the hotel, and you're kind of last on the totem pole in terms of getting bumped or what room category you're going to get.
So let me vouch for that. My travel last year was some international travel, and somehow I booked one flight through one of those agencies, I don't know which one, to try and with the pandemic that they were getting rescheduled or my location was closed or my destination was closed.
Right.
Rebooking or rescheduling was nightmare.
Yeah.
So I'm never ever doing that again.
And I think, one of the things it was definitely interesting was that we keep track of all of our clients' flight credits and hotel credits and things like that. And when they started to expire, we're already on it, trying to get the extensions and making sure everybody's dollars are safe.
Yeah. Wow.
Because I feel like also, a lot of people, I mean, I do handle luxury, but there's normal people who, they work hard to have their travel dollars.
Yeah.
And to not have access to them or have a hotel hold a huge deposit for a stay. I mean, even for rich people, they don't like to be taken advantage of or have someone hold
the
them.
least. The most money are the most careful.
And that's what I was trying to tell the hotels. I'm like, they see this.
Yeah.
We all see this.
Yeah.
There's definitely the pandemic put people, especially everybody in the market, hotels and airlines, on, some people handle things great and some people handle things poorly. And I think that's another thing where, especially moving forward for travel advisors, they do know which companies are financially okay, which small tour operators might not make it and you don't want to pay a big deposit to right now. I mean, I think there's a lot of information moving forward, especially internationally, and trying to book, tour operators, little small companies or mom and pop hotels. Yeah. I think you kind of go in with your eyes open because a travel advisor is going to steer you in who's the right person to book in that town or city. Yeah.
So we've mentioned the word luxury many, many times, and it might, and this could be true, it might create a sense that some of our listeners might say, well, those are trips that are too expensive for me. Is there a sweet spot of, and how would you judge it, like overall cost of a trip, or is there a client that you would say, I can't help you?
I'm not too particular in terms of spend. I mean, I know there's a lot of agents that say I won't touch anybody who's not spending over $10,000 a trip. I like to build a relationship with my clients, and not every trip that they're going to take is going to be, a huge trip. Yeah. Sometimes they've got to go see their family in Cleveland or whatever. And I mean, I still want to be part of their travel experience, no matter it's small or big. So, and I handle corporate as well, and CEOs and big companies and all their employees, and building a travel profile for them. And that's not all luxury either. But, I think my CEOs, I end up doing their private travel, and then my luxury families or independent entrepreneurs, then I end up doing their corporate travel. So it kind of based on the level of service I provide, I've kind of tried to be broad. I don't totally specialize for that reason. I don't ever want to say, oh, sorry, I can help you, you're going to send you to someone else for that. So I try to be very broad in my offering.
Okay. Do you have it sounds like you were really busy. Do you have a team, or are you doing this all yourself? Or you have a team?
I have a team. Well, my team's coming back, but yes, I do have a team. I have a team of 3 normally, plus a back end of my agency and, marketing and things like that. But
okay. I hope this isn't personal, but I think it's just fair for everyone to know. So I recall back in the travel agent days, you didn't pay for a travel agent. It was somehow baked into the cake. Does it work differently with you as a concierge advisor?
It depends. I mean, I had the flexibility of being flexible with my fees. I mean, I have clients who pay a yearly fee to have access to me, and then I have people who I pay research travel planning fees if it's something very big, or say a family of 5 to Hawaii, but you want me to do all the restaurants, all the cars, all the, a whole bunch of planning. But then normally if you just want me to book an airline and a hotel and a rental car or something like that, it's just a $45 ticketing fee. And you get a big insurance policy with that $45.
Your phone number?
Exactly. Exactly.
I love it.
My clients say, oh, the power of Tiffany, whenever I come in and save the day.
I love that.
But it makes for a fun job.
Yeah, I bet. So what, let's take the pandemic out for a second. So when you, as a business person, someone who owns a business, what were some of your biggest challenges in starting your business, running your business?
I think one of the biggest challenges I had was just, I'm really good at what I do, booking travel and taking care of my clients. But there's a whole lot of other things behind the scenes to running a business.
Right.
Even if it comes to tech or building a website, or when something technically doesn't work, I think that's not my strength. So trying to build the infrastructure to kind of take care of all those other things, because when I'm busy, I'm so busy, and I need other people to kind of support those other areas.
Yeah. It's interesting how that is a common, doctors, lawyers, financial advisor, we all have, it's all the same. We're good at what we do and need some help in the other areas.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. I'm going to modify a question I usually ask guests, and the modified question is, what is the best trip for under $5,000?
Under $5,000. Well, I think the pandemic really showed us that there's a lot of really great trips in America.
Yeah.
And I think you can go to the South, you can go do a national parks trip, you can go to Cabo. There's a lot of really great options that aren't, that expensive and that far away.
Okay. Road trip.
Yeah. I was actually really challenged. People really I had to get really creative. We couldn't go to Greece this year, but what we could do instead that's like Greece. So I had to get really creative.
So what was the answer to that?
I think it was fun because a lot of people took trips that they might not have ever taken.
Yeah.
And I think it was fun to watch them roll into those trips and accept them and maybe be more flexible
Yeah.
with those types of trips than they might have been before because they couldn't have any other options.
And be, most cases, happily surprised?
Yeah, and happily surprised. And I think that was super fun to watch.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
This is related, I mean, actually really related, but different subject. So I heard that renting cars now is like out of control.
It's out of control.
Because the companies sold their cars, right? So now again, we're in supply and demand. And someone told me they were, I don't know, spend a couple $100 a day for like a minivan in Hawaii.
Yeah, they're very hard to come by and really expensive right now. And the key is to booking. If you think you're going anywhere where you need a rental car, book it as soon as possible.
Yeah. That's going to evolve, right? The pendulum will
Hopefully,
swing
yeah,
back.
for sure. Yeah, and I think you also have just like you said, supply and demand. People trying to get what they can right now because they can.
Yeah, right.
But I was saying, just because you can doesn't mean you should. So you have a little bit of that going on too.
Yeah. So how about a couple of stories? I'm putting you on the spot a little bit. So either when you were working with the celebrities and or your current travel clients, as you told the one about the guy who was stuck on the tarmac, but just another crazy story. I don't know, lost luggage, ended up in the wrong place, just something crazy.
I have tons of those, but
Good. Let me have a couple.
I mean, I think, I had a helicopter that was going to land in Capri, which you can't land a helicopter in Capri because there's only a military base there. And so I was able to get that going, but he was late getting in the helicopter, but you only get a 15-minute slot for it to land. And the assistant's calling me saying, you're making that, he's landing. You're going to make it happen. I don't care who you have to bribe, who you have to pay whatever it takes. He's landing. And I made it happen.
You made it happen? What'd it cost him?
Not saying. So that was a fun one. Travel. It just comes with missed connections. I was up actually all night on Sunday night because I had a client whose flight was delayed out of Ibiza and missed his connection in Amsterdam. It was a group of like 5 people, and so I was up and making sure they were taken care of and getting another flight to get home.
Wow. Did they stay in the airport, or did you?
No, I was able to get them a flight within like an hour and a half of. They didn't really have. They pretty kind of just moved right on to the next flight, but it was a 3. I mean, that's the other thing you don't realize. You're not calling the 800 number and because you're like, oh, you can't talk to someone because it's the middle of the night in California.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm worrying and taking care of the clients.
I'm so taking your number. Something I forgot to mention earlier. You talked a little about your background, but I like the fact that you were featured in Riviera Magazine in the Power Players issue.
Yes,
That's
thank
cool.
you.
And trendsetter for Luxury Travel Advisor magazine, and selected by Condé Nast Traveler as 2021 top travel specialist.
Yeah.
Very nice.
It's a big honor this year.
Yeah. What are, as we're ending our time here, what are some of the things that you want to make sure that everybody knows?
That you find value in having a professional do your travel. I mean, I think people they think of it as maybe with the internet, that's kind of like a not necessary kind of thing, but you wouldn't trust your finances without a specialist. You get the best trainer, you get the best lawyer. Why wouldn't you enlist the best travel agent, travel advisor to help you? I can't even get used to it. I guess because I don't have any ego attached to being called a travel agent, because I feel empowered by being able to book air and be able to problem solve on that kind of archaic computer system. And I'm not ancient. I think people have this perception of travel agents as being these kind of old, crusty, people. And it's such a cool industry, and there's so many fantastic young people in it that are really knowledgeable and experienced, and who are traveling all the time and who are great.
Yeah, that's fantastic. How can people reach you?
They can reach me on Instagram or through my website, my email address, phone, anything.
Okay, so your website is?
www.loungecouture.com.
And your phone number is?
310-466-6458.
Okay. What's your guilty pleasure?
Pizza.
Okay, I can go with that. I love it. Well, Tiff, I want to thank you so much for being a part of the show, taking the time. You're a very busy person, obviously.
Now, thankfully. Travel's back.
So, again, thank you so much. I want to thank all the listeners who've tuned in. We look forward to being back in studio again next week. Cheers.
Tune in next week for the latest edition of the Zandbergen Report, Tuesdays at 2 p.m. Catch up on our recent shows by visiting podcast.bartzandbergen.com. The Zandbergen Report is also available on iTunes, iHeartRadio and Spotify. Interested in being a featured guest on our show or have a question you'd like to hear us answer? Email podcast@bartzandbergen.com. The contents of this podcast episode do not constitute an offer of securities or a solicitation of an offer to buy securities and may not be relied upon in making an investment decision related to any investment offering Access Wealth Management LLC, an SEC-registered investment advisor. Access does not warrant the accuracy or completeness of the information contained herein. Opinions are our current opinions and are subject to change without notice. Prices, quotes, rates are subject to change without notice. Generally, investments are not FDIC insured, not bank guaranteed, and may lose value. Brokerage services are offered through Tessera Capital, member FINRA.